Good evening. Welcome to another episode of the Hog Talk Podcast, live from the Stirling Soap and Roastery Studios, part of the Believe and Buzz Radio Network, where you can hear us each week on 106.7 Buzz 2 in Central Arkansas. All live shows are presented to you by Arkansas Brewing Company in downtown Ozark. I am Porter Hayes, and alongside me, as always, is Adam Hall. And on tonight's show, we'll talk fall camp. We'll have Rod Lovan from Stirling Soap and Roastery Company join us at 6:35, and then we will talk about, is Arkansas closer to 4-8, or are they closer to the college football playoffs and more? But first, we really want to give a shout out to our new sponsors with FanDuel. Want to thank Believe FanDuel for bringing us aboard. A lot of our Believe counterparts shows are going to be presented by FanDuel. So, Adam, I know, as long as we've been doing this together 2 years now, being able to have FanDuel as a partner is a pretty huge deal. Love the fact that we're able to do more just Arkansas content. We are going to be bringing you more college football, all around content, NFL stuff. Adam, I know you're really excited about the NFL season, fantasy. So, I'm really excited about this new journey with FanDuel.
Absolutely. I mean, it's one of those that when you get into talk about all the different sports betting apps and whatever, obviously FanDuel is the number one when it comes down to it. Obviously, here in Arkansas, we are a little bit more limited than the other states when it comes to what access we do have. But I know the FanDuel Fantasy app, there's a lot that we can still do. May not be specific, over and under on games and spreads and whatnot, but we can still do parlays, situationals, this, that, and the other, building your lineup. So it brings a different element, but I'm here for it because this is what I do during football season.
Yep. I mean, and speaking of FanDuel, FanDuel puts the power in your hands with live odds, quick bets, and easy cash outs. New customers even score bonus bets just for signing up. So if you call the Hogs, ride or die with your favorite NFL squad, make every down count, bet college, bet pro, bet FanDuel. And fall camp's begun. We're already seeing the Kool-Aid flowing. We're already seeing, the clips and everything coming out. And, I know it's part of the summer. You're going to get glimpses. And the media is going to put out what they're able to see of practice and stuff. But we've said for a month now, no matter what they do, score, how fast they can run, we want to see it on the field. But, we're actually seeing pad on pad now. And I think that just makes you get more excited for football. Alabama A&M coming up, and that's where we're really going to see, all right, are y'all faster? Because you got that game won. You should be blowing them off the ball. You should be taking them to the house. It should be a no contest at the end of the first half. And when I was talking to Rod earlier today, it's funny how we could pretty much have took our episode with him last year and we plugged it in tonight verbatim, and it would have been perfectly fitting. Same situation we are this point this season.
I think this is one of the first seasons in a while that I'm paying attention to fall camp, but I'm paying attention, I guess, a little bit differently. I'm trying to go in more in the little bit of film that I've been able to watch. It's kind of just been, the 30-minute, like the practice video clips, whatever. It not the dissected propaganda, if you will, that's put out by athletic departments, because everyone is guilty of that. I'd rather just sit and be able to watch the practice than be force-fed what they want us to see. And take that for what it's worth. I'd rather not be able, be like Tennessee. I don't know if you saw what Tennessee did. I actually have the picture we can put up here. I think I do, at least. Let me see if I can find it. But they blurred out. Here we go. Let me take the comments off the screen. They blurred out their quarterback that threw the interception because they didn't want people to know who it was. So,
Yeah.
when we talk about like the, joking around with the propaganda or the whatever that's these athletic departments put out, like that's an extreme right there. That's something I hadn't seen before.
Wasn't
But
it Colorado that last year the interception they queued it up like it was a completion, and then Arkansas being they're trolling social media, which they're really good at, even trolled that. So yeah, you're gonna get that too. But yeah, that is hilarious that you blur out the quarterback. You're making clips seem like it's a catch when it's actually an interception. So I guess in the fact of Arkansas, I was looking at the stats. Andrew Armstrong had 1,140 yards receiving last year, and then you drop down. Isaiah Satanio had 491, and Tesla had 545. I want to see depth, balance, and Taylon Green ran for 906 yards, and then you have Braylon Russell 366. Yes, you had Jaquindon Jackson 817. So I want to see more depth. I want to see what the O line looks like. I want to see defense, and to me, I want to see if the defense is getting pressure on the quarterback. Not necessarily if they're sacking him a lot, but I want to see the real what we're going to get with this team, opposed to just no discredit to the wide receiver from Warren, but being able to jump up and catch the ball. He's going to be a breakout star. But I want to see more than one person that Taylon Green's throwing the ball to, because if you want to say he's getting better as a quarterback, I want to see him throw to multiple receivers. Count on more than just one guy, because defenses are going to pick up on that, and that's going to make his accuracy off, because they're going to key on one guy, and he's going to have to use his checkdowns.
I think depth is going to be the biggest question. We ran into this issue last night on HQ Live when we're going through linebackers and defensive backs. There's a lot of unknown. We see a bunch of names on a list, but we don't know who, what, when, where, why at this point. There's a lot of unknown players, and like we were discussing before we came on, I'm sitting here wondering who some of these guys are. And, maybe that's bad on my part, but we're in this new day and age with transfer portals and everything, that we're not as focused on these players when they're in high school. And again, I talked about last night, like, some of this, yes, has to do with all the 3 stars, because that's the majority of what Arkansas gets. Obviously, if they're 4 and 5 stars, they're talked about more. They're known. But we're in this age that with players coming and going to different programs so often, we're not following these kids as much in high school. Or, it's one of those that when they commit elsewhere, they fall off our radar. And yes, that does somewhat of a disservice to these guys that do come in, that did commit to Arkansas, did stay at Arkansas, etc. But I guess I'm just in this boat, in this mindset now, that I'm not going to necessarily take the time until I see you out on the field on Saturday.
Yeah.
When that happens, I'll be more invested.
Yeah, absolutely. And to me also, when Arkansas has been most successful, who's your leaders? Who's going to step up? Is Taylon Green going to step up and be a leader this year on the team? Who's going to be that dog on the defense that's going to be, is it Cam Ball? Is he going to step up and be a captain of the team? Is it going to be Sorey? Who is going to step up? That was what when we're talking about talking to Rod last year, and we were asking the same things this year as we were last year. And I'm not saying that's necessarily a bad thing. It's just the state of the team is unknowns. Who's going to step up? Who's going to be the playmakers? Who's going to keep, you're talking about penalties and offsides and pass interference, or really holding each other accountable for mistakes and growing as a team. Who's going to be those guys that are going to hold each other accountable? And then, yes, you're getting paid now. So who are going to be the ones that are going to keep the money separate from the play on the field and not be divas? They're not going to be like, well, I'm sitting this out. I'm getting paid. Don't yell at me. I make more than you. You know, that's what it's going to take. It's going to take a lot of people coming together as a team and looking at the end goal of making that college football playoff, which we'll get into at the end of our first segment. But you have a brutal stretch ahead of you, and I will not use the other S word anymore this season. I've banned it, which we'll talk about why here in a second. But I am throwing that word out from future broadcasts.
It's fine with me because we've talked about it before that when we're coming into talking about the season, not us, just fans in general, other media outlets in general, this is always brought up. And it's like, kind of like we talked about with strength and conditioning coach last week with Talon, and like how he was setting up, like, you know, you guys don't know how bad he was hurt. You don't, you know, you're setting yourself up for the potential failure already, or not getting the results. And I feel like when we do talk about these things, like with this season, with previous seasons, we're talking about the brutalness of it. And it's like we're preparing ourselves, or we're preparing those that are listening to, hey, if we go 4-8, if we go 3-9, well, it was because of how tough it was. You know, let's throw all that aside. Like, this is year in, year out. The strength of the schedule is always difficult. Why do we continue to still use it as a crutch or use it as a talking point?
Yeah. And to me, it is sending a signal already. And I know fans aren't going to like this when I say this, but it's already sending a signal to me when your head guy above the head coach is saying these things, because it's sending a message that no matter what, I think he's here another year. I'm not getting anything else other than that, because you're going to look back, well, man, they did good for this, you know, for what they went through, man, to get 5-6 wins, for them to get, I think if Sam Pittman gets 6 wins this year, and when I say this, it is strictly, I am viewing it from the mind of Hunter Yurachek and the AD, not my opinion, but I'm just viewing things from his opinion. If Arkansas wins 6 regular season games and they become bowl eligible, he will be here another year.
And this comment from Transplanted Texan, spot on. Strength of schedule is a talking point of programs stuck in mediocrity. 100%.
What's your shirt say? Live with it, deal with it.
Yeah, mediocrity, live it, love it, deal with it.
Yep. But and what sparked this was, you know, Hogs Plus put out a clip that, you know, Hunter Yurachek went before the team and was talking about, he said that word, and it was really, again, just how he was saying it, and he kept beating that word out there, which we've heard all off season. Was it a pep talk, or was it something along the lines of, guys, just go out there and try to do the best you can, because, man, with what you're facing this year, man, if you get bowl eligible, you know, we're proud of you. We're proud of you for sticking it through. And it's like you're already giving a scapegoat and a pass if you win 6 games this year.
Why aren't we shooting? I mean, and granted, my opinion, long shot, but why are we not shooting for college football playoff? You're basically telling guys, hey, we just need you to get to 6 wins and then you're good. And again, we go back to mediocrity. You know, it's one of those things that you should be swinging for the fences. I mean, we saw what it took last year for teams. We've said that, you know, 10 wins is basically where you need to be. 9 wins, you started flirting with the conversation. You had a leg to stand on in some cases, like South Carolina and Ole Miss, but you lost games that caused you to miss out. But just going in and saying, hey, guys, we just basically need you to get to 6 wins. We need you to get to bowl game so that it can be added to a resume, and then we'll be good. And I'm just not with that anymore.
No, you can't. And not when you led the charge with a collective You led the charge with NIL. How does someone lead the charge with all these things and be in last place when it comes to the most part? Because and what schools can put out there that they're making? We have the private institutions that doesn't have to report. But the message we're hearing from the top, and it makes perfect sense why, if this is true, that Sam Pittman's sitting there saying, I'm not worried about my job. Now, guess what? That puts a mindset in him is, I'm hearing this, my job's safe. So how much do you really put into this season? Is your back really against the wall? Have you already had discussions with amongst you two that, just go out there and do the best you can? We know the roster you have. We know the teams that are ahead of you. If you get to 6 wins, and he's going to get a bonus for that. That's another thing. He's going to get a bonus for being bowl eligible, making a bowl game. So you're getting a bonus for being mediocre. So what is the incentive? Because if he knows his job's safe, I just think you're setting it up for disappointment, and the fans are going to be furious if you're at the end of the year playing Missouri to be bowl eligible, or you already got bowl eligible and then you lose to Missouri again, but yet you're still bowl eligible.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that's the thing is, I'm all about coach contracts that have, these incentives, these bonuses, but when you're setting, or, you're setting the bar at be bowl eligible, I mean, that should just be a given.
I think it should be a one-time thing. Because, if you're building a program, I think you should give a coach, if you're one of the programs where you're like Arkansas, saying, man, you get us to a bowl game, we're going to give you a bonus for that first bowl game. Now you've set the foundation of, all right, that's where your program needs to be. We're not going to give you a bonus for being where we think you should be.
Mm-hmm.
If you go above and beyond, now it goes from 6 wins. Now you get it to 7, you get that bowl bonus. If you're at 7 and you get to 8, you get that previous bonus carried on. Because when we first heard about this contract, we were applauding Hunter Yurachek because he's like, man, he's going to pay him for what he does. Well, to me, that's gone. Where is the bonus for improvement if you're still giving him bonuses for staying the same?
Well, and I think too, we've seen this here and there, giving extensions too early. We, in my opinion, jumped the gun after the 9-win season. Hey, here's an extension already. And I'm not saying, I'm just in that boat of you give stuff too early, and then things kind of, I'm not going to say completely fall apart afterwards, but there's not as much oomph. I don't feel like there's not as much importance. You're not necessarily working as hard for something anymore. And like we've all said too, with that 2021 season, like you had the most super seniors out of any school in the country.
Yep.
And it's one of those things that should have been looked at. Hey, if you can do this again next season, then we can talk about the extension. But you did it after the fact, after you had some added help with the addition of these older players. But we don't get paid the big bucks to worry about, what he gets paid.
And you're expanding the playoffs. You're making the conferences bigger. You're making it easier. And I guess what we'll just kind of, segue into that last part of the segment of the Jackson Collier put out a tweet today that said, is Arkansas closer to being 4-8 than the college football playoff? To me, to even think right now that they are closer to the college football playoff than 4-8 is laughable. What have they done to make them prove that they have a shot at being a 9-win season? So you're saying that you're closer to getting to 9 wins as a program right now than 4 wins. I think it's the craziest thing I've seen in the offseason. I've seen some other people put out things that you expect to hear from them, but this was surprising coming from Jackson because he's usually I mean, and he laid it out there why. But I don't care how much you lay out why. You're looking at the team on the field. You do not know anything about this team hardly. You don't know if they're going to be able to block. You don't know if Taylor Green has improved on his accuracy. We know what he can do with his feet. We know he's an athlete. Who's going to be that 1,000-yard receiver this year? Who's going to be your 900-yard rusher this year? Who is going to be that guy that steps up and gives you those yards to improve? So, no, I can't see that anything right now. And if you want to come back week 9, week 10, and you're sitting there 7-8 wins, we eat crow, cool. I'll do it. But I'm talking about at this point in August, you cannot sit there and honestly put that out there to the Razorback fan base that, hey, hot take, we're closer to the college football playoffs than the 4-win season. Ridiculous.
Is it a hot take when Bo Mattingly's saying it? You've now put it out there. We've got others talking about starting off the season 9-0. It's just crazy to me. There's way too many unknowns, like we've said. Obviously one of the biggest ones is who is Taylor going to throw to? Because obviously we all have high praise of Antonio Jordan. We all think that he is going to be a breakout star here, just like other Warren wide receivers. But at the same time, and all of us, we all want for Monte Harrison to show out, like make everybody stop talking about your age, because it's like it's new to a lot of people, I feel like, and I'm just kind of like we talked about this last year when you got here. I'm all about these guys if they, but at the same time, I worry about our wide receiving core just because I look at all these 5'9", 5'8" guys that we brought in. And yes, I know 1 or 2 are for special teams. They're still, I guess, unknown with Courtney Crutchfield. So I don't know who he's going to be throwing to. Our tight ends are going to look different. We've got Ty Washington out there at Notre Dame, that's had some choice things to say about their offense versus Petrino's offense. Biggest thing I took out of Ty Washington talking was just referring to him as Bobby. Not Coach Petrino, not Bobby Petrino, just Bobby. And maybe that's just some pettiness, which we all know I wholeheartedly am all about the pettiness. But at the same time, I mean, I felt like there was some shade being thrown. Ty Washington will probably come out that game, Notre Dame and Arkansas. You know what? He may get a touchdown. Maybe it'll be his only touchdown of the season, but he can at least say, hey, it was against Arkansas. There's just too much unknown. There's no way that I can sit here confidently and say, hey, this team is going to be 8, 9, 10 wins. No, I'm not. Get to 7 wins before, without the bowl game, then I'll be happy.
Exactly. And, another thing, you're looking at the receptions that were distributed. Andrew Armstrong had 78 receptions. Satania had 37 and Tesla had 28. So again, when you're talking about spreading it out, when you're throwing to a guy 78 times, he averaged 103 yards receiving per game.
Had 1 touchdown.
Tesla, 41. Yeah, 1 touchdown. So you had 16 touchdowns total last year. 16 total receiving touchdowns last year. So again, when we're talking about Jordan, okay, so let's just give him his stats. 1 touchdown, 1,100 yards receiving. Where are you going after that? Because you're going to have 2 guys that, I mean, even if you don't have to have 2,000-yard receivers, but you're going to have at least 1,000-yard receiver. And if Taylor Green gets 1,000 yards rushing with 10 touchdowns, and then another guy like Jaquindon Jackson, who's your star running back going to be that that's going to give you 8, 9 to 1,000 yards rushing with another 15 touchdowns? There's so many questions.
I think that, and this is, I guess, some positiveness, if you want to call it that, whatever. I think that Taylor breaks the single season record for all purpose yards. He was close to it last year. I think he was only 100, 200 yards short. I think it happens this year.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a matter of I would rather see more of it through the air than on the ground. Make them scared of your arm instead of forcing you to run every single time. Yes, we know that you can outrun the majority of the guys on the field. But I would rather see you become more of a pass threat and not have to beat everybody. Because we saw last year, him taking the bumps, the bruises, the injuries. It took him out of games. And, there's a big unknown at backup quarterback. So are you going to have, is KJ Jackson going to be your Malachi Singleton that can come in and at least manage it if something like that were to happen? But Talon has it in him. I just think that he has to put it together with his arm to take a step further this season.
To kind of lead off this segment, are you going to be, and this is speaking to Talon Green, because it's a play off of Jackson's tweet. Are you going to be closer to KJ Jefferson? Or are you going to try to elevate yourself closer to a Ryan Mallett? Because if you're going to bring yourself and you're going to bring that team to a new level, you're going to have to elevate yourself on the level of a Ryan Mallett. Opposed to if Arkansas goes another 6 wins, you're just going to be another KJ Jefferson. In the end of the day, that's all you'll be. Yes, you might break all these records, but what is it going to get you if you finish your career with just another 6-7 win season? You're going to be right there in the same boat as KJ Jefferson.
Yeah, I mean,
he's got to that.
Yeah, he's got to. I mean, he's got to look within. He's got to have the help from the players around it. Obviously, like we've all talked about, it starts at the offensive line, but his decision making too. I mean, you got to know when to tuck it and run and when to make better throws.
Absolutely. Well, we're going to take a quick commercial break. After the break, we will talk to Rod Lovan of Stirling Soap and Roastery Company. Always a pleasure to have him come on, and we'll catch you right after the break. Searching for premium brewery products that will take your daily routine to the next level? Look no further than Stirling Soap Company. Our handmade soaps, aftershaves, and balms are made with only the finest ingredients that give you the ultimate grooming experience. With a variety of scents to choose from, there's something for everyone. Plus, our products are crafted in small batches to ensure the highest level of quality. So why wait? Visit www.stirlingsoap.com or visit our retail store at 16 West Walnut Street in Paris, Arkansas. Shop our collection and discover the difference for yourself. Upgrade your grooming routine with Stirling Soap Company. Are you looking for a place to grab a cold drink and some delicious food? Look no further than Arkansas Brewing Company. Located at 201 South 1st Street in beautiful downtown Ozark, our establishment offers a wide selection of craft beers and tasty eats. But what sets us apart is our welcoming atmosphere and friendly staff. At Arkansas Brewing Company, you'll always feel like part of the family. So visit Destiny and Christopher Brockett and staff today and see for yourself what makes us the go-to spot for locals and visitors alike. Arkansas Brewing Company, come for the drinks and stay for the friends. Attention DIYers and home improvement enthusiasts. Are you searching for the right tools and the supplies to tackle your next project? Look no further than Mentor's Hardware Store. With locations in Ozark, Alma, and Clarksville, our vast selection of hardware and building materials ensure to have everything you need, whether you're fixing a leaky faucet or building a new deck. Plus, our knowledgeable staff is always on hand to offer expert advice and guidance. And with our competitive prices and convenient online ordering, Mentor's Hardware Store is your one-stop shop for all your DIY needs. Visit us today and let's build something amazing together. Are you looking to take your career to the next level? Look no further than ATU Ozark Campus. As a 2-year satellite campus of Arkansas Tech University, we're dedicated to a quality workforce education, industry partnerships for in-demand jobs, and tailored paths for success. Our programs are led by industry professionals. Whether it's a certificate or you're aiming for a graduate degree, ATU Ozark has you covered. Visit our website at www.atu.edu/Ozark or contact us at 479-667-2117. Your future begins here. Welcome to Ozark Area Chamber of Commerce, where our mission is simple: encourage, promote, and aid an enduring environment of shared economic opportunity and civic development for the Ozark, Arkansas area. Whether you're a local business owner or a resident, we've got something for you. Shop our unique local businesses, explore the beauty of Ozark, and savor local flavors and find cozy accommodations. Join us in building a stronger community. And to learn more, contact us at 479-667-2525. Remember, together we thrive. And I want to welcome you back to the Hog Talk podcast. We're joined now live via the Meadows Lumber Hotline, Rod Lovan of Stirling Soap Company. Rod, I was talking to you earlier today, and I was telling Abbott on the broadcast we could have plugged this last year's episode with you in tonight, and we'd be having the same conversation. So I want to thank you for joining us again.
Thanks for having me. Good to be here.
Yeah. So, I got to stop by the store today, pick up some product, Adam. I got you a few things, so I'll be giving them to you next time I run into you. But another year, another football season here. We chatted briefly about expectations, but I really want to lead off with the question that we were talking about at the store, and then what me and Adam were talking about. Segment one is: Do you see Arkansas closer to a 4-8 year or a college football playoff berth?
Absolutely 4-8 this year. I mean, I'm not saying it can't happen by any stretch. I mean, sure, but that, like you said just a few minutes ago, what have they shown in the past half a decade, really in the last decade, that makes you think that they're closer to being a playoff team than they are being 4-8? I mean, it's just your standard late July, early August Kool-Aid that certain people want to put out just to give you a hot take.
Yeah. And as a fan, you being off, season tickets and getting to go to the game, what do you feel is, as a fan heading into this season, what do you feel like the incentive? Where's the excitement at heading into this year to feel that this program is on the rise? We were promised that revenue sharing was going to save the day. It was going to be the saving grace of this program. Just what are your thoughts on some of the things that, rev sharing, all this stuff that's coming in, and they're boasting about spending $16 million on a team when, other programs out there are spending 2 to 3 times as much.
I mean, if you look at that, that's not going to change anything. If they do away with it, and say we go back to the same rules we had 20 years ago, Arkansas is going to be in the same position. Your Arkansas is never going to be Georgia. They're never going to be Alabama. They're never going to be a Clemson or an Ohio State, where they're one of the top 5 spenders in the country. They're never going to be a top 5 recruiting class in the country. But that being said, if you look at it historically, revenue wise, they're still a top 20 program.
Mm-hmm.
There's no excuse for what we've seen in the past 12 years and been asked to endure as Razorback fans, given the amount of money that the average Razorback fan spends. And if you want to look at, the amount Razorback fans spend relative to their earnings as a family, I think it's silly to put it on the fans in any way whatsoever. Yeah, I mean,
go ahead. You're good.
No, I mean, there's been plenty of times where, there's always this attitude of poor little old Arky, which I hate that term Arky, and I hate when Razorback fans use it. But they have this, this is how we're always going to be, just be happy with that, getting that 7th win after the Liberty Bowl, because that's a successful season. Bull crap. I mean, we've seen plenty of times in the past. I'm not saying, like I said, we're never going to be Alabama. We're never going to be Ohio State. Put that out of your head. But that doesn't mean that, you should be able to have a kid and your kid's now a teenager since the last time Arkansas sniffed 10 wins. I mean,
yeah,
it's a harsh reality, but it's truth.
Yeah.
Going in from last season into this season, everybody that's came or went with the transfer portal, which side of the ball do you think is going to be better off?
That's a pretty loaded question, because there's two pretty big question marks. Honestly, I think our defensive secondary and our linebacking core will probably surprise a lot of people this year. But that being said, if our defensive front, which outside of Cam Ball, I mean, who do we have that's not a question mark? So if our defensive front is so porous that they're making those tackles, or they're not making the initial hit until the player is 4 or 5 yards past the line of scrimmage, then it doesn't matter how good your secondary and linebacking core is, your defense is going to be a failure. I'm not so much worried. You talked about the wide receivers. I'm not so much worried about the wide receivers. I honestly think the only question mark we have on offense is Taylor Green. He put up fantastic. If you're just a stats watcher, you look at the stats. Take away outside of the turnovers, nothing really stands out as him being a bad quarterback. But last year he was a bad quarterback. There's no point in sugarcoating it. He seems like a wonderful young man. He seems like he has all the potential in the world, but his precision on passes, his accuracy on crossing routes, slants, your out patterns where you have to be able to put it into a small window, he cannot do it. I mean, y'all mentioned as well, KJ Jefferson couldn't do it. I mean, who's the last quarterback that we had that could do it? Brandon Allen, maybe. Austin wasn't terrible, but I mean, it's been a while since we've had a quarterback that can hit that slant route in stride to where the ball is out in front of the receiver and he's not slowing down. It's great when he makes connections on those, but how many times did we see slant routes that are dead or crossing routes that are dead the minute the receiver catches the ball because the receiver can't catch it in stride? And you've got to have a quarterback with accuracy to be able to do that. And right now, I know the narrative that they're trying to push right now is he was injured for most of last year. Sell that somewhere else. The truth of the matter is, unless he has pinpoint accuracy, we're going to see the same thing. They're going to put up a ton of yards. They're going to have games where they score a lot of points. But when you get down inside the red zone and your field is now compressed, you're not going to score. Last year, our red zone scoring, getting touchdowns was horrible. Mm-hmm. And that's because we didn't have a quarterback that could, hit that slant route in stride, that could throw that back shoulder throw before the receivers even made his break. You have to have that in modern college football to be able to be successful inside the red zone. Right now, that's my biggest question mark going into the season. Can Taylor Green do that this year? Year 2 under Bobby Petrino is what we're being sold. He's going to take all these steps forward. Okay, show me.
Yeah. Well, and the biggest thing is when you're bringing in 3 stars, you're surrounding your team with 3 stars, 4 stars. You sprinkle in with the star player. They're going to look really good. But you look at the transfer portal and the biggest guys and you go back to Justin Fields, a Baker Mayfield. You look at Joe Burrow, Ewers. You're going from one elite program to another. You're not going some 3-star quarterback from wherever and then coming to Arkansas and taking that team to a new level. And that's mental. You could put out all the highlights you want. You could be really good on your feet, but you got to know when the ball's in my hands, I am going to will this team to score. I'm not going to fumble in the late game situation or key situation or turn the ball over. KJ Jefferson's done it. Taylor Green's done it. So when you see the talent that is at Arkansas, we have to realize you're only good as your talent is, because this isn't something like basketball where you can throw a couple of 5-star guys on a basketball team and they can make a March Madness run. You have to have depth where you're running back, 4-star, 5-star, 4-star, 5-star receivers, quarterback, tight ends, all key players. And when there's a huge discrepancy in your number 1 guy and your number 2 guy when you're throwing them the ball, that goes to 1, you're just being comfortable and you're not distributing the ball. And when you're playing in the SEC, they're going to key on that. And you got Ole Miss, your first SEC game on the road. That is going to be the biggest game of the season.
Absolutely. And it's not to take any, absolutely, you've got to have high level talent, but when has Arkansas ever had a team full of 4 and 5 stars? Their best team under Petrino, had a 5-star quarterback in Ryan Mallett, and had a couple of 4-star receivers. And Jerry Shride, I believe, was a 3-star, high 3-star, low 4-star. And, he ended up having a decent career in the NFL after that. But it wasn't like we had, 4 or 5 different 5-stars, and then our backups were 4 and 5 stars that were just young kids. I mean, that was still, if I remember correctly, if someone can correct me in this in the comments, Bobby Petrino's highest rated recruiting class was what, 16th? And
Yeah.
the Hogs finished, the highest at the end of the year. They were 5th, I believe. So, I mean, you coaching, talent matters, but coaching matters as well. And right now, I in the last 12 years, we've not exactly had the greatest coaching talent in the world.
Yeah. And one thing adding on to that is the fact that you had a lot of in-state guys that you didn't have the 4 or 5 stars, but you had guys that they were dogs. They wanted to play for this university. They outplayed their stardom. And when I go from a ranking spot, but another thing that I wanted to kind of, we'll lead with this video clip and we'll get your thoughts about it, is we touched on it just a second in the first segment, was when you got a guy above the head coach that is just talking about, and I've banned, I don't know if you were on the broadcast when I said this, I've banned the S word, the piece of paper that has the teams on it. I'm not using that S word anymore for the rest of the season, because that's all I've heard off season is, look at this. Depending on this, we could be that. And if we go 7 wins, it's because of this. So I'll play this clip right quick and I'll get your take on it.
You guys walk out of that locker room, you go down that hallway, you've seen the schedule on the wall, right? Seen that schedule? Everybody wants to tell me how hard that schedule is. We've always had a hard schedule, but you know what? Razorbacks have never backed down from a hard schedule. And what I know from Coach Pittman about this team is you guys aren't going to back down, because you have 12 incredible opportunities this season to show people what this football team is made of.
That's the mantra. That is the boost heading in fall camp. And you can kind of see that, but what we've heard from other media outlets about talking about that the daunted S word, but it's giving a scapegoat. It's giving an excuse to go out there and be like, because of this, it's okay if we only win 7 games or 6 games.
I mean, they've been telling us that for how many years now? I mean, Arkansas has got the hardest schedule. Arkansas has got a top 5 hardest schedule. You know how you make your schedule easier? Give those teams a loss.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And keep giving those teams losses, and your schedule, all of a sudden, you weren't playing 11-0 team. You were playing a 10-1 team or whatever it may be. I mean, it's a built-in excuse, and it feels like they're tempering expectations, which I really don't. It's hard enough being a Razorback fan, but being asked before the season starts to temper your expectations is not something. It's not something a fan wants to do.
Yeah.
Give me 5 minutes to believe that we're going to win it all this year. We're going to pull a miracle that people are going to be talking about 50 years from now. Let me at least think that for a little bit before you crap on the parade.
And another thing is, and I think this is because it is the SEC, I think one of the most overhyped things that Arkansas can brag about is, yes, we have the 12th best recruiting class in the country. We have the 16th best, but you're still 12th in the SEC. You're still 13th. You're still 11th. So yes, in the nation, you might have this killer recruiting class, but in the grand scheme of, you're looking at the competition that you're playing against, you're still in the bottom of the barrel. So to me, yeah, it's awesome to say you have a top 15 recruiting class, but do you want to couple that and pull the curtain back like the Wizard of Oz and be like, yes, we're the 15th, but yet we're the 12th in the league that we're in?
Yeah. But I mean, if you look at, leave out Alabama, leave out LSU, leave out Texas A&M, guys like that, Texas, but, go numbers from 7 up to 12, there's minimal difference there. I mean, the recruiting class, when they do the revised recruiting after a class is done, you're going to find in most cases, there's very little difference in those middle of the pack teams. But the difference is, what do you do with those players when you get them up there? Did you take the team that was 7th in the SEC and get less out of them and end up getting beat by that team that had the 10th, 11th, 12th ranked recruiting class on a regular basis. It's another one of those things where, yeah, accept that you're not Alabama. You're not going to be Alabama, but it doesn't mean that we should be happy losing to Ole Miss. It doesn't mean that we should be happy getting drummed by Missouri year in and year out. That is, to me, that is the biggest indictment on the program right now, is how in the heck, and I don't care about strength of schedule, throw it away. How in the world, year after year, do we find a way to lose to Missouri?
Yeah. Because the coach, this is the difference, and I've said it. The coach wants to beat Arkansas more than Sam Pittman wants to beat Missouri.
Absolutely. And
that's what it takes sometimes. We talk about rivalries, and we're talking about Missouri. To some are still not saying it's a rivalry. When you want to beat that team as much as they want to beat you, it is a rivalry. And when he continues to beat Arkansas and continues to smoke that cigar on our territory, we have to change that.
Absolutely. I just, how do you do it though, given the current trajectory? Like you said, when you've got a coach that is seemingly complacent, that I'm going to get 6 wins and then I'll smoke Little Sisters of the Poor in the AutoZone Bowl or whatever it may be, and I'll get my 7th win, I'll get a bonus, and then I'll go down to Lake Hamilton for a few months and I'm fine. And I'm not trying to dog on Sam Pittman, but I'm just, I'm tired of how hard it is to be a Razorback fan between collapse of baseball, inexplicable losses and basketball, and then just, like I said, 12 years of absolute suckage of a football team, and we're being told that this is what to expect. I'm just it's not sitting well with me anymore.
So we haven't came out with our season predictions or anything yet, but where do you have this team finishing, if you've even gotten that far yet?
Like Porter said, we could pretty much take last year's
Mm-hmm.
and just go with it. But honestly, it depends. Like I said, it depends. They could absolutely shock the world if our defensive line outperforms. If Taylor Green actually has learned in year 2 under Bobby Petrino, we could have a fantastic team. But the other thing that's going to have to happen is, and there's going to be people that probably think I'm full of crap here, Sam Pittman has to give complete control of the offense to Bobby Petrino. And I don't care what anybody says. I don't care what Petrino himself says. He does not have 100% control of the offense, because anytime still, and Porter and I talked about it in my office last year, anytime we get out to a lead, what happens? Our offense change. We go to a let's run the clock and shorten the game. And Sam Pittman has said that himself. I'm still mad about 2023 Alabama when he said that. I don't know if y'all remember the 2023 Alabama game.
Mm-hmm.
But we got the ball. We lost 21-24. We got the ball back with 50 seconds to go in the half and did 2 courtesy handoffs to run out the remainder of the clock, rather than try to get into field goal range. Who was our kicker at that time?
Yeah.
Literally, he's kicking for the Jaguars right now. He's the best kicker Arkansas has ever had and will have probably in my lifetime. And Pittman, when asked, why didn't you try to go for, get up into field goal range, run some 2-minute offense? Well, we wanted to run some clock, try to shorten the game a little. Well, great. Now you lost by 3 points. And you had your only chance that we will ever see again to beat a Nick Saban coached Alabama team. We will never get that opportunity again, because our coach still coaches like it's 1980. And if you've got the ball with 50 seconds or a minute, you don't run a 2.5-minute offense. You just get 3 up and you get to the locker room. And, to show that is not a Bobby Petrino offense, I can give you 3 things to say: LSU,
Mm-hmm.
Ryan Mallett, Kobe Hamilton.
Mm-hmm.
A Bobby Petrino coached offense, it doesn't matter if there's time on the clock. He's going to use it out there, and he's going to run a 2-minute offense. Even if he doesn't think he's going to score, let's go out here and give our guys game time in a 2-minute offense and get some practice doing that. And sometimes it's going to pay off. It may not pay off every time, but I certainly don't see a situation where if he's calling the shots, he's going to get the ball with 90 seconds left and go up the middle, kneel, and let's get to the locker room.
You got to quit playing not to lose and play to win. And that's
absolutely. That's what got Houston Nutt ran out. I mean, you at the end of the Houston Nutt tenure, people were sick and tired of Houston Nutt playing not to lose instead of playing to win. And when you're facing a talent deficit like Arkansas, you cannot give away possessions. You simply can't. And in modern football, period, you can't. I mean, how many times have we seen teams that Arkansas is playing get the ball with a minute to go? We saw it last year in Missouri. Missouri ran their 2-minute drill with a 21-21 game and scored the winning touchdown. You know, how many times do we see where another team is like, we're going to go after this, but we see Arkansas going into the half or going in, let's play for overtime. Let's play for just getting into the locker room and we'll regroup and come out in the third quarter. You can't do that when you're facing a talent deficit, and you can't do it in modern football where teams can put up points in a matter of 3 or 4 plays.
That screams a team that's looking at that thing on the wall that Hunter Yurachek pointed out, opposed to going out there and looking at that scoreboard at the end of the game. You have your focus on already losing. Your cup's already halfway empty before you even step on that field, because you're told to look at that thing on the end of the hallway. And I think that I hope they turn it around. And we talked about it earlier. Me and Adam was talking in a previous episode. We hope they turn it around, but we want them to show us. I don't want to be told, see, I told you so. When we're in this downward trajectory, we're acting like we're crazy for even thinking about this. Well, how about do your job? Y'all are all getting paid now. Y'all need to go out there and prove to us why we should believe again. Why in the summertime we should be excited about the next football season. For those season ticket holders who've been loyal for 30, 40 years, why they shouldn't have to give up their seats or give more money for a 6 or 7 win program. You know, and you talk about the Alabamas. I mean, you know you're not going to be that program, but you want to feel like any given season you can have an Alabama-like season. You can have an Ohio State-like season, like Ryan Mallett, and you're getting to the Cotton Bowl. You're actually in the talks of the Final Four, BCS, or in this instance, you have 12 teams. It's an easier case to feel relevant in today's game, and you're, instead of the top 12, you're finishing 12th in your own conference.
Absolutely. And with the expansion to 12 teams, the truth of the matter is, if Arkansas is not at least in the hunt 1 out of every 3 years, the coach should be fired. When they're making it that easy to get into the playoffs, just based on revenue that the Arkansas football program brings in, I don't care that we're in the SEC. If that bothers hunters that bad, that our schedule's that tough, okay, give up the SEC check and get us in the Big 12 or put us somewhere else. But if based on the amount of money that Razorback fans put into this program, if at least 1 out of every, I'm not saying make the playoffs every 3 years, but at least if you're not in the conversation towards the end of the season, and the players and the fans have hope that if things fall right, they're going to make the playoffs and have a chance at a magical season, you're doing something wrong and you need to change directions. Yeah. They've made it too easy to get into the playoffs.
Yeah. And we'll get you out of here on this. For those who don't know, talk about your store, your new products, where they can find you, and talk about your summer lineup. I know you're always bringing out new scents, new shave soaps. I stopped by and got some soaps, shampoo, deodorant. So talk about some of your new products coming out and where everybody can find it.
So the soap is at 16 West Walnut on the Square in Paris. The coffee roaster is at 18 West Walnut, right next door. All the coffee is roasted multiple times in-house by my wife weekly. It is among the best coffee you'll find anywhere. Try it for 2 bags of it, and then go back to what you're drinking, and you'll realize that you were drinking crap. It's like getting a real good dry aged steak and then going back to Outcast and chewing on or Outback and chewing on rubber. Yeah. It's that much of a difference. And the same thing for our soap. It's if you value your skin, it's a better product for your skin. But I mean, we're not just soap. It's razors, shaving soap, aftershaves, colognes, lotions, anything you can think of for grooming. We've got it. It's a local business. It's funds things here in Arkansas. We fund a lot of things here locally, and it's a good way for people to put their money where their mouth is when they're complaining about all the money going out to foreign companies or foreign made things. You can okay, you can shop here locally with us, and we ship all over the country as well. So if you're not within driving distance of Paris, you can still try our stuff out and be supporting an Arkansas business.
Yeah, you were putting FedEx to work when I come by and looked at your deliveries going out. So, Rod, it is always a pleasure to have you on, have you to be a proud sponsor of the Hog Talk podcast again, and welcome on anytime to talk to Razorbacks. And what we'll do is we know basketball is going to be good, so we'll have you on to talk basketball because it's exciting, uplifting, and we'll have you something exciting to come talk about.
We talked in last year about doing a live one at the
sir.
storefront and on Paris. We should try to do that. Get you guys down to Paris, and I'll pump you full of coffee, and then we can go next door and pump you full of beer after that.
There we go. I like the sound of that. Adam will have to we'll mark down a Kentucky game, so, big game like that. We'll have to make sure it's a Saturday, so that way we can recover nicely. So, but Rod, it's always a pleasure again. Thank you, sir, for coming on.
Thanks, Porter. Thanks, Adam. Good talking to you.
Yes, sir. That was Rod Lovan of Stirling Soap. Big time, long time supporter. It was. I have not yet to bring myself to go full shaven and test all of his products out. The last time I did that was 2009. I always joke with my wife that on April Fools, I'm going to wake up in the middle of the night and just go completely shave bald and then have her wake up to surprise. But I have not been able to bring myself to do that yet.
I think the last time I did was probably 2016 or 2017, and my daughter cried. And I have not since. Yes, something or another. But no, I haven't done it since. Can't bring myself to do it.
But before we wrap it up, we want to give another shout out to FanDuel. Again, FanDuel puts the power in your hands with live odds, quick bets, easy cash outs, new customers, even score with bonus bets just for signing up today. So if you call the Hogs or ride or die with your favorite NFL squad, make every down count, bet college, bet pro, bet FanDuel. Well, Adam, you got anything else before we wrap it up?
I do not.
Again, preseason going to be in full swing. Is it in full swing yet, or is there a break between the Hall of Fame game and week one? I don't. When is week one of preseason?
I don't pay attention to a lot of preseason just because it's guys trying to make teams. I'll watch the stats of the Arkansas guys in there, but otherwise I'm waiting for week one. I'm waiting for Lamar Jackson versus Josh Allen to kick things off.
Ooh, yeah, we'll definitely have the props, the betting odds, props, everything going on. But again, want to believe FanDuel for that, and I will have everything set up. We will have. I got my days mixed up. Honestly, I honestly thought it was our Thursday show for some reason. That's how. Doing this 75 hard with my wife, and it's 75 days straight of 2 workouts a day and all that. But we are going to have Jay Crane from Crane and Company on Thursday's episode at 6:35. So be sure to tune in on that. We'll get his perspective on the state of the program, head coaching, and what he thinks about the Razorbacks. But for Adam Hall, I'm Porter Hayes. That will do it for tonight's episode, and we'll catch you on Thursday.